All right, we good? All right, so we are going to use the same rules we used yesterday in a slightly different way, but they're the same rules. What was our little acronym? SOHCAHTOA. Whoa, that's not an O, is it? SOHCAHTOA. All right, let's remember what the rules were. So the sine equation is the sine of the angle. What's this little symbol called? Theta, right? It's a Greek letter. Sine of the angle is the opposite over the hypotenuse. The cosine equation, cosine of the angle is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And the tan, I'm so glad you're so excited by it. The tan equation is tan of the angle is the opposite over the adjacent. So if we were going to find an unknown piece of information, let's say this is 38 degrees, this is X, and this is 14 meters. What two sides have I used? What is 14? Hypotenuse. What's X? Adjacent. So what am I using? Right, so I'm using the cosine equation. So cosine of the angle is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. What do I do next? How? Okay, so I'm going to bring the 14 across and multiply it. Somebody type that into a calculator for me. How can you not bring a calculator to trig? So you have to bring it every day. Sorry? 11.03, and we're in meters. All right. Shh. Okay. So this is what we did yesterday, finding an unknown side. Okay. So labeling our triangle properly, figuring out which rule we're using, and then just getting the letter by itself. Okay. Now, what we're going to do today is the same thing, but we're going to find unknown angles. All right. So let's save this and do it all again. All right, so I'm going to erase this. I'll leave the rules up there for us. All right, let's say that I give you a triangle. And this time I do not know what this is. I know that this is 11 meters and that this is 8 meters. So tell me what sides I've got. What's this one? This one's the opposite because it's opposite my marked angle. What's this one? Adjacent. So what am I using? TOA, right? So I'm using tan. So this is going to be a little bit different, but I still set up the equation the same way. Tan of the angle is the opposite over the adjacent. Now, the problem with this is my unknown this time. So if you're ever finding the side length, you use sine, cos, and tan. If you're ever finding the angle, you use the inverse of sine, cos, and tan. So you will find on your calculators, there is a little shift button. And if you press shift tan, you will get something that looks like this, tan with a little -1. That means the inverse. So what we're saying, actually, let me just erase this so I can write it differently. The angle is the inverse tan of 8/11. So if you type that into your calculator, it will give you an angle size. And can everyone grab out their calculators and do it, please? So you need to make sure you get the same answer as me, otherwise you're not doing it right. You should get 36.03. Yeah. And I need a little degree sign because this is an angle, right? So can you all type that into a calculator for me and make sure that it's working and that you know how to use your calculator? What's your calculator? Guys, it is literally impossible to do trig without a calculator. You have to bring stuff every day. All your stuff, wait until I'm done and then you can go get it. All right, let me save this. All right, let's do another one. All right, let's write our little acronym so we can remember it. SOHCAHTOA. All right, let's draw another triangle. All right, let's label this. What side is 6?
Opposite.
It's the opposite because this is opposite my marked angle. What side is this? Hypotenuse. So what am I using? Right, I'm using the sine equation. This is O and H. So sine of my angle is my opposite over my hypotenuse. So then how do I get theta by itself? The inverse sine. So inverse sine of 6 over 14.2. And so my angle size is, surely somebody has typed it in for me.
One second.
Mark? Why are we calling him Mark?
Oh.
Okay, who's got it?
Wait, no, let me do it.
Jeez.
Oh, shoot. Jimmy, why does 7 brackets? 24, 25. Yeah.
25 degrees?
Round up.
Well, I want 2 decimal places.
4.99. No, it's 99. Oh, yeah, 24.99.
24.99. All right. Let's do one more. All right. All right, so this is going to be my unknown angle. I'm going to say that this is 2.1 centimeters and this is going to be 11.3 centimeters. All right, help me label it. What is 11.3? The hypotenuse. What is 2.1? The adjacent, because it's next to. So what am I using? So I've got my cosine equation. So cosine of my angle is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So then how do I get theta on its own? Inverse cosine of 2.1 over 11.3. And I get
79.29. Whoa.
Gosh, you guys are easily impressed. Okay. So we're doing the same thing as yesterday. So let me just give you a slight summary of that. So when we're doing SOHCAHTOA, oops. All right, so the equations always look like this. So sine of the angle is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Guys, shh. Cosine of the angle is adjacent over the hypotenuse and tangent of the angle is opposite over adjacent. If you are ever finding an unknown side, you are using sine, cos, and tan. If you are ever finding an unknown angle, you are using inverse sine, inverse cosine, and inverse tangent, okay? So that's how you know which one to use. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there for now. All right, do we have any questions? Do we think we can have a go at this? Yeah. So it's important to choose the right ratio and make sure you've labeled your triangle correctly. All right, let's go.